Good morning. You're watching DD India, and American author Kate Wiggin had said that there is a kind of magicness in going far away and then coming back, all changed. Yes, we are back again with renewed enthusiasm and presenting you with breakfast news, the comprehensive one-hour show which is there to set your mornings right and bright. I'm Preeti, with me is Anil.
Well, thank you. Good morning, Preeti. Well, we're back again after a long hiatus, but September 10th, the day today is celebrated as World Suicide Prevention Day. It's an important day, especially in collaboration with WHO. That's the international association that's associated with International Association of Suicide Prevention, in association and collaboration with WHO, celebrates this day. This day is important in today's times. Why? Because this is the day we are all living in uncertain times. Yes. Uncertain times call for uncertain things happening around us. So, take time out. We are all maintaining physical distancing, but there is no problem in picking your call up, calling your loved ones, giving them a word of assurance. It could make a difference, a world of difference in their life. So it could be different. It's an important day where we need to touch base with our loved ones. So don't forget, it should be done 365 days, but it is a day when it is celebrated, so we all need to do that. Well, let's get started this Thursday morning with the headlines we are tracking.
Rafale fighter jets to be inducted in Indian Air Force today. Rafale to join the 17th Squadron of the Air Force Golden Arrows. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and French Defence Minister will be the chief guests at the induction.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi to launch Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana today. Will also inaugurate eGopala app. The app will promote best practices for animal welfare and productivity.
Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi spoke on phone today with His Majesty King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud. The two leaders exchanged views on the global challenges in context of COVID-19 pandemic.
External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar to take part in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting in Moscow today. External Affairs Minister held bilateral meetings with his Russian, Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan counterparts on the sidelines of the event.
Ministry of Education to organize a two-day online conclave from today. The theme is Schooling in the 21st Century. Prime Minister to address the conclave tomorrow.
COVID recovery rate in the country stands at 77.77%. DGCI issues notice to Serum Institute of India. Notice issued after pharma giant AstraZeneca pauses trials of Oxford vaccine candidate. Global cases of COVID-19 crosses 2.8 crore.
And at the US Open, Serena Williams seals the women's singles semi-final spot with a tough three-set win. Will meet Victoria Azarenka in the last four outing. Daniil Medvedev sees off fellow Russian Andrei Rublev in straight sets to reach the semis at the Flushing Meadows.
Well, now for the stories in detail, starting first up with the Rafale story. The stage is set for the formal induction of Rafale jets into the Indian Air Force at the Ambala Air Force Station today. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh would be present along with the Chief of Air Staff, Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhadauria. The French Defence Minister Florence Parly will visit India today. She will be the chief guest at the induction ceremony. A dry run to the ceremony was conducted at the Ambala Air Force Station. Vishal Baristo reports more.
Roaring to the skies. This is French beauty Rafale. It is known for air superiority and precision strikes. 5 high-profile Rafale fighter planes will be inducted into the Indian Air Force's Golden Arrow Squadron in the presence of the Raksha Mantri and Air Chief at the Ambala Air Base in Haryana on September 10. Rafale is India's first major acquisition of fighter planes in 23 years, after the Sukhoi jets were imported from Russia. Rafale fighter jets are capable of carrying a range of potent weapons. European missile maker MBDA's Meteor, beyond visual range air-to-air missile, and Scalp cruise missile will be the mainstay of the weapons package of the Rafale jets. Also joining the ceremony would be our very own Tejas. The HAL Tejas is an Indian single-engine, fourth-generation multi-role light fighter designed by the Aeronautical Development Agency in collaboration with Aircraft Research and Design Center of Hindustan Aeronautics Limited for the Indian Air Force and the Indian Navy. On this occasion, water cannon salute would be given to the Rafale, and the cherry on the cake would be a spectacular display by the Sarang helicopters.
Capable of carrying a range of potent weapons including the Meteor and Scalp missile, Rafale truly personifies the motto of Indian Air Force, touch the sky with glory. With cameraman Sumit and Raj, this is Vishal Baristo, DD News, Ambala Air Force Station.
And to talk more about that, our correspondent Vishal Baristo is joining us. Vishal, we've given a broad outlook and also a detailed report, elaborate report on the function ahead. Let us know how important would the induction prove to be today and would give more wings to our Air Force.
Well, a very good morning to you, Preeti and Anil. First of all, I was hearing your conversation, and what a way to start afresh as Rafale, the French beauty, formally joins the Indian Air Force. It is going to be first major acquisition by the Indian Air Force after more than 2 decades. Remember, last time it was the Russian, now the French beauty is with us. And Rafale is capable of carrying potent weapons from Meteor, Scalp missiles to the MICA weapon system. This is going to strengthen the Indian Air Force and take the Indian Air Force to new heights, and definitely our enemies would be watching it very closely. Remember, we have had an agreement with the French, with France, at Dassault to be precise. 36 are there in total. 5 have already arrived, and the rest would arrive soon. And out of the 36, 6 are going to be the trainers. Today, the defense minister would be accompanied by his French counterpart, Ms. Pali, and also the Air Chief of France and our own Air Chief. Also to be seen would be the Chief of Defense Staff. So it's going to be a spectacular show. And let me also tell you that Tejas would also show its power in the sky, and Tejas is our very own aircraft, the 4th generation single engine aircraft.
Okay.
So it's going to be a spectacular show. So we are all awaiting, and let me tell you that you'll all enjoy it.
Okay, Vishal, talking about the 17th squadron where this is going to be inducted, tell us more about this particular squadron and the speciality, why the Rafale jets are a part of this particular squadron.
Well, Anil, first of all, you should look at the strategic importance of this station, which is there in Ambala, and that is why it is inducted here. And it is also known as Golden Arrows. This is the most advanced squadron, 17th squadron of Indian Air Force, and given by the circumstances across the border, definitely Rafale's formal induction to the Indian Air Force is going to add more firepower, because as the motto says, that glory to the skies, take the skies with glory, and definitely Rafale would add more glory to the Indian Air Force.
Well, thank you and appreciate you joining us, Vishal. We'll come back to you for more updates on that story later in the morning. Well, moving on now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will digitally launch the PM Matsya today. It's a flagship scheme for focused and sustainable development of fishery sector in the country, with an estimated investment of 20,050 crore rupees for its implementation during a period of 5 years from 2020-21 to 2024-25 in all states and union territories as part of Atmanirbhar package. The investment of 20,050 crores under the PM Matsya is the highest ever in the fisheries sector. This particular scheme aims at enhancing the fish production by additional 70 lakh ton by 2024-2025 year, increasing fisheries export earnings to roughly around 1 lakh crore by the year 2024-25, doubling of income of fishers and fish farmers, reducing the post-harvest losses from 20 to 25% to about 10%, and generation of additional 55 lakh direct and indirect gainful employment opportunities in fisheries sector and allied activities. Prime Minister will also launch a eGopala app, a comprehensive breed improvement marketplace and information portal for direct use of farmers. Several other initiatives in the fisheries and animal husbandry sectors in Bihar will also be launched by the Prime Minister on the occasion.
And our correspondent Salman Haider is joining us to get us more on that. Salman, you've given details of the Prime Minister launching PM SSY. Let us know more about that, and also we tell our viewers that Prime Minister will also launch eGopala app. Very quickly, get us more, throw more light on this.
Yes, Preeti, PM is to launch today Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana in Bihar. And he will also launch eGopala app, which is a comprehensive breed improvement marketplace and information portal for direct use of farmers. Apart from these, PM will also launch several other initiatives in the fisheries and animal husbandry sectors in Bihar. First, let us talk about fisheries. Bihar is one of the largest consumer as well as producer of the fisheries products. The whole Mithila region is known for fisheries, betel leaves and makhana. These are the produce which are rarely available anywhere else. As you know, foxnut or makhana is another nutritious product, and both fisheries, fishes and makhana can be produced in the same pond. So there is a comprehensive approach about this, and Finance Minister in last May has announced clusters for makhana as well as fisheries. So today's inaugurations and these initiatives will certainly enhance the fish production in Bihar, in this state. And also the eGopala app, which is being launched today, will enhance the production and high quality breed of this cattle. And there is a unique state of art project in Barauni, which will produce has been developed as a semen production center, where the gender selective semen will be produced with 99% accuracy. It will give birth to female calves.
Okay.
So these are the initiatives which will strengthen the fisheries as well as the animal production,
Okay.
milk production also.
Salman, is there a fish brood bank, that could be created here? Because, you will have to look at areas which are promising when it comes to developing these kind of projects. So are there any areas that are marked for these projects to take off, on such a large scale, since you're looking at doubling of the income of the people who are associated with this particular industry?
As of now, under this scheme, I mean PMMSY, the Department of Fisheries has approved around 1,700 crore proposals for all over India. But in Bihar, there is an investment of 1,390 crores with central share of 535 crore rupees. And the additional fish production would target to 3 lakh tons.
Okay.
Already 1.5 ton are being produced here and sent to other states, as well as some part of it is being exported. So breeding of the fish and making production of fish seeds and also fish feeds. Some projects are there to produce fish feeds, which is very important component in enhancing the fish production. Yes, Anil.
All right, Salman, also I would want you to spell out more on Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana and apprise us with more about the broad outlines of this scheme.
See, the PM is to inaugurate 1 unit fish feed mill at Madhepura and 2 units of fish on wheels assisted in Patna. under Blue Revolution. Blue Revolution, that is enhancement of fisheries, fish products, is already undergoing, but this project will enhance, as I already said, enhance fish production as well as fish seed production.
Okay.
With the fish feed mill was not there at present. So this will encourage the fish producers who are involved in fisheries activities, as well as doubling the income of farmers as an alternative income when their crop fails. So the fishery is another, you can say, a cash crop, so that the farmers can double their income through fisheries. Yes.
Okay, thank you and appreciate you joining us, Salman, this morning with those updates there. So Blue Revolution there is what is look forward to, doubling of farmers' income there, especially in the fishing industry. That's what is the catch there, and looking forward to that particular announcement there, the people of Bihar.
Yes, two important engagements of the Prime Minister today. We'll keep you updated. Meanwhile, let's get to other news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke on phone on Wednesday with King of Saudi Arabia, Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud. The two leaders exchanged views on global challenges in context of the COVID-19 pandemic. Prime Minister expressed his appreciation for the leadership provided by Saudi Arabia during its ongoing presidency of the G20 grouping. The leaders agreed that the initiatives taken at the level of the G20 had helped in promoting a coordinated response to the pandemic. They also discussed the main priorities presently on the agenda of the G20. The two leaders expressed their satisfaction at the state of bilateral relations between India and Saudi Arabia, and also committed to further strengthen cooperation in all the areas. Prime Minister expressed his special thanks to King Salman for the support provided to Indian expatriates by the Saudi authorities during COVID-19 pandemic. Prime Minister conveyed his warm and good wishes for good health and well-being of King Salman, other members of the royal family of Saudi Arabia, and all the citizens of the kingdom.
External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar had a busy schedule on Wednesday ahead of the meeting of the Council of Foreign Ministers of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in Moscow. The External Affairs Minister met with several of his counterparts. External Affairs Minister met with the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov last evening. India and Russia enjoy an important strategic partnership, and this year marks the 20th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of India-Russia Strategic Partnership. The two sides discussed issues within the common multilateral organizations like SCO, BRICS, RIC. After the meeting, as Jaishankar tweeted, "Pleasure to meet Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, this time in person. Excellent talks that reflect our special and privileged strategic partnership, value our exchanges on the international situation. We highly appreciate an opportunity to discuss the development of strategic partnership in all areas, bilateral relations, cooperations within the framework of SCO, BRICS and UN." Earlier in the day, S. Jaishankar also met with his Kyrgyzstan counterpart Chingiz Adibakov. Both the leaders discussed issues of bilateral and regional interest and agreed to further enhance the strategic partnership in all spheres. The External Affairs Minister also met with his Tajik Foreign Minister Sirojuddin Muhyiddin and discussed growing bilateral and regional cooperation issues. The SCO meeting will be chaired by the current chair of SCO, Russia, and the discussions will lay the ground for the upcoming session of the SCO Heads of State Council expected to be held later this year. This will be the third CFM meeting that India will be attending as a full member of the SCO. The foreign ministers at SCO will discuss key international and regional issues in the context of the 75th UN anniversary. On the sidelines of SCO, Russia, India, China are expected to have a RIC group meeting also. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar is also expected to have a bilateral meeting with the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. The bilateral meeting holds special significance in the backdrop of the ongoing military face-off between the two countries along the LAC in Ladakh.
Today, the External Affairs Minister will attend the SCO Foreign Ministers meet. And to talk more about that, our correspondent Abhishek Jha is joining us. Abhishek, we've given the details of the engagements which the External Affairs Minister had. But talking of the SCO Forum, now this will be the third CFM meeting that India is attending as a full member of the SCO. Earlier, we also saw Defence Minister participate in the Defence Ministers meet at the SCO. Talking of, SCO as a forum, how significant is when we talk of international and regional issues put together?
Good morning, Kriti. So talking about this SCO, this is one of the major forum which deals with the economic cooperation, regional security ties, and other global and regional issues, especially in terms of countries, mostly the countries are members of Asia. So this is one of the major bloc of Asian countries. China has been a founding member of this whole SCO formation, and the meeting which is happening at the time when India is having a tension at the borders with China poses a significance, because as you told that there is going to be a meeting between expected meeting between our foreign minister and Chinese with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi sometimes later in the day post the meeting where our foreign minister will be addressing his SCO counterpart. And probably this will be the first meeting ever since the Ladakh standoff took short turn when this all Galwan Valley clash had happened. So one can hope, one can look forward to this meeting as some.
All right, so that was it about the importance of the SCO Forum, and also today the External Affairs Minister is expected to have a bilateral meeting with his Chinese counterpart as well.
Well, lots to look forward to that in that particular meeting there, especially considering the situation there at the LAC. So we will be looking at some positive outcomes there at the SCO as well as the bilateral meeting, that the External Affairs meeting that takes place today. You know, it's going to be important because there cannot be an immediate breakthrough, but it could set the stage for further political engagement that could be very important on that particular
indeed,
story.
that is what our correspondent also put forth, and how important this forum is on the global page. And also, this is a quick reminder that these engagements are being held to lay the ground for the upcoming SCO Heads of State Council, which is expected to be held later in the today.
Well, moving on now to our next story, French Defence Minister Florence Parly is in India. She landed at the Palam airport. She will be leaving for Ambala, where she, along with the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, will be present at the ceremony to mark the induction of the first 5 Rafale aircrafts into the Golden Arrow Squadron. Parly will be discussing regional security, Indo-Pacific maritime domain, and investment in manufacturing under the Make in India program with the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. This is the third official visit of Parly to India. Later in the afternoon, the French Defence Minister will pay homage to the martyrs at the National War Memorial in the national capital. Both the leaders will aim to strengthen military cooperation as thought about by Prime Minister Modi and President Macron, with an effort to deepen and expand the relations.
All right, important day ahead when we talk of induction of Rafale jets into the Indian Air Force.
Well, it's going to be important, surely, and all eyes, it's going to be the top focus story of our day, along with the Prime Minister's program, the induction of the 5 Rafale fighter jets into the squadron there of the Indian Air Force.
Yes, we'll keep you updated. Let's get to other news now. Minister of Education will be organizing a 2-day conclave on school education in 21st century under Shikshak Parv on 10th and 11th September through online media. On the first day of the conclave, the focus will be on principal and teacher practitioners, who will discuss how they have already implemented certain themes of the NEP, that is the National Education Policy, in creative ways. National awardee teachers and other creative teachers will be part of this conclave. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the conclave on 11th of September. Some of the suggestions from teachers received on MyGov will also be shared. Shikshak Parv is being celebrated from 8th of September till 25th of September to felicitate the teachers and to take new education, that is the National Education Policy 2020, forward. The ministry will be organizing a series of webinars on this policy and its implementation.
While moving to Jammu and Kashmir, Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha visited the border outpost of the BSF in Hiranagar sector on Wednesday. Sena was briefed by the IG BSF NS Jamwal about the security preparedness and the steps taken to strengthen the security along the international border. Later, the Lieutenant Governor visited border village Bhobia of Hiranagar area and took stock of the issues of the residents of the border villages. The Lieutenant Governor assured the border residents that all their demands will be taken into consideration. He further assured that the government will extend all possible assistance to farmers for extracting optimum benefits out of the land beyond fencing. The Lieutenant Governor also asked the BSF to cooperate with locals in resolving their issues and also passed on-post directions to the concerned officers of civil administration for resolving the crucial issues of border residents.
The Bombay High Court will hear actress Kangana Ranaut's plea on her office premises demolition by the BMC. Kangana called the demolition illegal and also she put a plea before the High Court and argued that she was not given sufficient time to respond to the notice and that the demolition process was initiated in a hurried manner with ulterior motives. Yesterday, the Bombay High Court stayed the demolition process initiated by the BMC for illegal construction at actress Kangana Ranaut's bungalow and sought to know how the civic body entered the property when the owner was not present. The BMC on Wednesday undertook demolition of the illegal alterations at the bungalow of Kangana Ranaut at Pali Hill in suburban Bandra.
Well, an interesting story there when it comes to the Kangana story, especially purely looking when she is not there, BMC entering into the property and demolishing it.
Yes, the court will hear her matter today. Let's see what the day holds for her. Let's get you other news as well related to this.
Well, moving on to our next story, but staying with Mumbai, the special court in Mumbai will hear the bail applications of Riya Chakraborty and her brother Shouvik today. Riya Chakraborty was arrested by the Narcotics Control Bureau on Tuesday for her alleged involvement in a drug case linked to the late actor Sushant Singh Rajput's death. Chakraborty was produced before a local court in Mumbai after her arrest on Tuesday. The court rejected the actor's bail plea and sent her to 14 days judicial custody till September 22nd. After her arrest, Riya Chakraborty was taken for a medical checkup and COVID-19 test, following which she spent the night at the NCB's office in South Mumbai and was shifted to Baikla jail on Wednesday.
Time now for a short commercial break. We'll be back in a short while. Stay with us.
भीम ऐप का प्रयोग करके हम अपने नगद लेन देन को बहुत ही आसान बना सकते हैं। भीम ऐप के जरिए ब्रॉडबैंड, केबल टीवी, डीटीएच, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल पेमेंट आसानी से किए जा सकते हैं। साथ ही गैस बिल का भुगतान या हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस भी किया जा सकता है। भीम ऐप से आप लैंडलाइन पोस्टपेड, जीवन बीमा, लोन पेमेंट, मोबाइल पोस्टपेड का पेमेंट भी कर सकते हैं। आपको किसी से पैसा मंगाना हो या किसी को भेजना हो तो वो भी आसानी से किया जा सकता है। तो देर किस बात की, अपने मोबाइल पे भीम ऐप डाउनलोड कीजिए और अपने नगद लेन देन की प्रक्रिया को आसान बनाइए।
Welcome back after the break. You're watching Breakfast News on DD India.
Well, lots to look forward to. We still got our international business and sports segment coming up, but before that, let's now take a look at some other stories there. Taking a first look at the story from COVID-19, the Central Drug Regulator, that's DCGI, has issued notice to Serum Institute of India for not informing it about the pharma giant AstraZeneca pausing the clinical trials of Oxford vaccine candidate for COVID-19 in other countries. Notice has also been issued for not submitting a casualty analysis of reported serious adverse events. The Drug Controller General of India, in a show cause notice, has asked Serum International as to why permission was granted for conducting phase 2 and phase 3 clinical trials till patients' safety is established. The notice was issued following reports of pausing human trials of Oxford University's COVID-19 vaccine candidate after one of the recipients in the United Kingdom showed some adverse symptoms. Meanwhile, Serum Institute of India said that the company will follow the DGCI'S instructions and abide by the standard protocols.
Up next, a quick update on the COVID-19 situation from across the country. On the day when India has registered the highest single-day recoveries of nearly 75,000, it continues to set a record in testing as well. More than 11.5 lakh COVID samples have been tested in the last 24 hours. India is one of the few countries that have reported very high numbers of daily testing. The daily testing capacity has already crossed 11 lakh, with 11,54,549 tests conducted in the last 24 hours. India has further strengthened the national diagnostic capacity. 74,894 recoveries were recorded in the last 24 hours, taking the cumulative total of recovered patients to 33,98,844. With this, the recovery rate currently rises to 77.77%. India's three-pronged strategy of test, trace and treat is proving to be a success. The fatality rate stood at 1.69%. The number of active COVID-19 cases in India stands at 8,97,394, which is 20.53% of the total cases reported so far.
In an excellent example of public-private partnership in the health sector, a COVID-19 hospital built by the Tata Trust at Kasaragod in Kerala was handed over to the Kerala government. Kasaragod district, situated at the northernmost part of the state, lacks good healthcare infrastructure and is highly dependent on Mangalore in Karnataka in the event of emergencies. The hospital, built at a cost of 60 crore rupees using prefabricated material, can accommodate 551 COVID-19 patients at a time. The doctors and paramedical staff for the hospital will be provided by the Kerala government. Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan participated in the handing over ceremony through video conferencing. Well, Preeti, that particular story there, positive development in public-private partnership and also benefits Kerala. That's where it all began. The COVID story began in Kerala, and now a hospital, a 551-bed hospital there for the people of Kasaragod.
All right, on that note of positive, we'll end this national segment here. Up next is our segment Across the Globe, wherein we'll take a look at all the important updates from the world over. Yes, when we talk of the important updates from across the world, first we'll pick up the COVID-19 situation in the United Kingdom. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson on Wednesday announced tougher new restrictions on social gatherings of people in England starting from September 14th, as the number of COVID-19 cases have seen a sharp rise in the country. Added to that, the new introduced law change is set to ban larger groups of friends and family meeting anywhere socially, indoors or outdoors. Also, the new set of rules will not apply to workplaces or schools, and there will be exemptions for the weddings, funerals and organised team sports. Also, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland have set their own lockdown policies. The United Kingdom has recorded more than 3.55 lakh cases of COVID-19, along with 41,000 deaths.
Well, also a look at the global numbers when it comes to COVID-19. Global cases now crossing 2 crore 80 lakhs. Global deaths are now over 9 lakhs. That's the significance. Also, global recovery is now hitting 2 crores, while United States continues to be the worst affected. 65 lakh and 49,000 cases in United States. The death toll also in America the worst across the globe. When you look at it purely from the country that's been severely hit, United States has the death toll now surging past 1,95,000 people. Brazil stands second in terms of death with over 1,27,000 casualties. Well, looking at this particular story, you know, the world is looking grim when you look at these numbers, but also the positive factor that one picks up, 2 crore of recoveries when you look at this particular story. That's the big positive that one looks at it. Generally, in these kind of times, you tend to search for
Indeed.
news that
Yes.
could inspire people, and that could be the inspirational point that I
It is
look
rightly
at.
said that every dark cloud has a silver lining, and also when we talk of the COVID-19 situation back home,
True.
we've told our viewers how the recoveries, we have seen record recoveries in a day, and it is because of the three-pronged strategy which has been adopted by the government.
Well, exactly. That's paying rich dividends. But now going back to the story that we are covering internationally, moving to Italy, where Italy's primary and secondary schools' major reorganization is underway. As on September 14th, hundreds of students from the age 6 to 14 will return to class with a strict coronavirus protocol in place. Gone are the communal desks that used to sit two students. Now all students will sit on single desks with a strict social distancing policy in place. Masks will be worn as the children move around the school, and regular use of hand will be allowed. Presently, Italy has more than 281,000 cases of COVID-19 with over 35,000 reported deaths.
And fires broke out for a second time in a migrants' camp on the island of Lesbos in Greece late on Wednesday after an earlier fire wiped out a large part of the camp. Reuters witnesses said that the new fires erupted in a part of the Moria camp that had been unscathed by the earlier blazes. Migrants were seen fleeing as huge billows of black smoke and orange flames could be seen rising into the sky from the camp as tents and containers were engulfed in flames. Athens declared a state of emergency on Lesbos and sent police reinforcements to the island to help keep order after thousands of migrants were left homeless.
Well, time for us to slip into another breather here on Breakfast News. On the other side, we'll get you all the news from the web world, and also segments like business and sports keenly awaited.
Stay with us.
कोविड-19 के चलते ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोग डिजिटल ट्रांजैक्शन का प्रयोग कर रहे हैं। डिजिटल ट्रांजैक्शन में सबसे सेफ एंड सिक्योर्ड मोड है इंटरनेट बैंकिंग। इंटरनेट बैंकिंग के 3 इंपॉर्टेंट टूल हैं। पहला टूल है NEFT यानी नेशनल इलेक्ट्रॉनिक फंड ट्रांसफर। इसमें आपको किसी भी तरह का अतिरिक्त चार्ज नहीं देना पड़ता है। ये 24/7 अवेलेबल होता है। ये एकदम सिक्योर मोड में से एक माना जाता है। हालांकि इसमें जो पैसा ट्रांसफर करते हैं वो रियल टाइम में नहीं होता। इंटरनेट बैंकिंग का दूसरा टूल है IMPS यानी इमीडिएट पेमेंट सर्विसेज। इसकी खासियत है कि आप इसमें रियल टाइम में पैसा ट्रांसफर कर सकते हैं। हालांकि इसमें ट्रांसफर लिमिट 2 लाख रुपए तक की होती है। तीसरा टूल है RTGS यानी रियल टाइम ग्रॉस सेटलमेंट। ये काफी फास्ट और सिक्योर्ड मोड माना जाता है। इसमें आपको मिनिमम 2 लाख रुपए तक का ट्रांजैक्शन करना होता है। जब भी आप ऑनलाइन ट्रांजैक्शन करें, सिक्योर्ड मोड ऑफ पेमेंट यानी कि NEFT, RTGS या IMPS के माध्यम से ही करें, ताकि आपका ट्रांजैक्शन एकदम सेफ एंड सिक्योर्ड रह सके।
Welcome back after the break. You're watching Breakfast News.
Well, moving on to our next story that we're looking at this point of time, the United States is blocking visas for certain Chinese graduate students and researchers to prevent them from stealing sensitive research. The acting head of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security said on Wednesday. In a speech in Washington, Chad Wolf repeated U.S. charges of unjust business practices and industrial espionage by China, including attempts to steal coronavirus research, and accused it of abusing student visas to exploit American academia. Earlier, some Chinese students enrolled in United States universities said they received email notices from the US Embassy in Beijing or US consulates in China on Wednesday informing them that their visas had been cancelled.
And time now for our next segment, that's Web News Review, and our correspondent Arun Sharma is joining us with it.
Breakfast show, and now in this segment of breakfast show, this is web news review, where we have picked up top 10 news for our viewers which are dominating in various web news websites. So let's begin the segment. Now, first article that we have picked up is from Hindustan Times. Now, this says that France describes India as foremost Asian strategic partnership. Now, this is a very important statement from France ahead of the induction ceremony of Rafale jets that is going to take place today. Now, the defense minister of France, Florence Parly, will be attending this event as a chief guest, and she'll also be meeting the defense minister, Rajnath Singh, and of course, the national security advisor, Ajit Doval. Now, moving on to the second big news that we have picked up from Times of India. Now, this news article says that Chief of Defense Staff, now this again is news from the defense sector. Now, Chief of Defense Staff General Bipin Rawat favors reform of defense PSUs. Now, he also says that some vintage military platforms can be exported. So, yes, we have gradually seen that under Atmanirbhar Bharat and Make in India initiative. Now, India is, developing its own capacities and capabilities as far as defense equipments are concerned. So now, but more reforms are required as far as defense PSUs are concerned, in as far as working culture in these defense PSUs are concerned, so that we can become a global hub as far as defense equipments are concerned. But third big news is from the DNA news website. Now, the national education policy, or primarily Himachal Pradesh, you can say that, has become the first state in our country to implement the national education policy. We know this fact, Anil and Preeti, that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has recently appealed to all the states to come forward and to implement this reformist education policy primarily in all the states. And that's what we are seeing, that Himachal Pradesh has become primarily the first state to implement this education policy, or the national education policy. The fourth news article that we have picked up from the Statesman. Now, this is an important news from the energy sector, and primarily from the solar energy sector. Now, it says that Haryana's Siwani district takes step forward towards Atmanirbhar Bharat with 10 megawatt of solar park. Now, we know this fact that a company called Raise Experts, which is the leading EPC, has developed a solar park in Haryana's Siwani. Now, this will play an important role as far as providing solar electricity to various people in Haryana. Now, we know this fact that the power tariff as far as solar energy is concerned has dropped below 2.5 rupees per unit. That means 2 rupee 50 paisa per unit. So yes, a cost-efficient energy for the people of Haryana going forward. And yes, Haryana will also be on a map of the solar energy globally, and on an Indian map as well, whereby the first solar park has been developed by Raise Experts. Now, moving on to our fifth news. Now, this fifth news article is from Economic Times. Now, it says that IMF says that coronavirus crisis is far from over and more support is needed. That means more and more multilateral approach and cooperation is required to treat or try to deal with this COVID crisis. There are various developing countries and underdeveloped countries which are facing a real brunt as far as fighting against COVID is concerned, as far as economic aspect is concerned. So more of a multilateral cooperation is required as far as dealing with the COVID crisis or impact of COVID crisis is concerned. Now, moving on to the sixth article. Now, this is from Deccan Herald. Now, United Nations agencies supports Indian government-led efforts to deal with coronavirus pandemic. So earlier we have seen that World Health Organization has, praised Prime Minister Narendra Modi and, complimented and appreciated the efforts of Indian government, the way they are dealing with the COVID crisis. So now the various UN agencies are now supporting the Indian government-led efforts as far as dealing with the COVID crisis is concerned. Now, moving on to the seventh big article, this is from Indian Express. Now, it says that Railways works on upgrading sleeper and general class coaches to the AC. So the Indian Express over here is quoting the sources and saying that Rail Coach Factory in Kapurthala has been entrusted with the job of making prototype of upgraded sleeper class coach and converting it to AC. So we can expect that more and more general coaches and the sleeper coaches will be turned into AC compartments going forward. So that's a big statement and big reform if in case this happens as far as the railway sector is concerned. Now, moving on to our eighth big article, this is from sports sector. Now, all those UV lovers and Yuvraj Singh lovers, good news is waiting for you. Yes, we know this fact. We also remember Yuvraj Singh for those 6 sixes, or primarily 6s and 6 balls. So Yuvraj Singh has written a letter to BCCI and he says that he wants to come out of retirement and he probably can play the T20 format. Now, apparently, the Punjab Cricket Association, the secretary Puneet Bali has approached Yuvraj Singh and he has asked Yuvraj Singh to come out of the retirement and to play for the benefit of Punjab cricket. So that's a big news and it's also trending on Twitter. We can also expect Yuvraj Singh soon coming back as far as the T20 formats are concerned. Now, ninth big news is from a Twitter handle of Shipping Minister Mansukh Mandavia. Now, he says, and he has tweeted that innovative concrete floating jetties on way to Ahmedabad. We know this fact that there is a proposed seaplane operations between Ahmedabad's Sabarmati to the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, or primarily you can say Narmada River, whereby the Statue of Unity is there. So a seaplane is expected soon, whereby the services are likely to be started from month of October. So a jetty is being constructed. Now, this is a very innovative idea to construct a jetty in Ahmedabad's Sabarmati River. So that's an important part. Now, last but not the least, the top 10th. The 10th news is from our DD News website. That's ddinews.gov.in. Now, it says that Make in India device or indigenous device for preventing blood clot in deep pain, primary deep pains can lower costs of saving life-threatening conditions. So over here, the Sri Chitra Trinul Institute of Medical Science. Now, this is also an autonomous institute under the Department of Science and Tech. So it has developed an indigenous device which can prevent the deep vein thrombosis. So, well, that's it in this web news review. Well, for all the other news and updates, you can also follow our Twitter handle and, of course, our news website, that is ddinews.gov.in. But yes, for other news and updates, back to you, Anil and Preeti.
Arun seems to be really excited about that morning and the comeback that he's making with this particular news segment that we've got for our viewers. It's an interesting concept where we get you the top 10 stories that are trending there online, and we get you all the latest from that particular online version of the web. Well, moving on to our next segment, that's called business segment. We'll get you the latest from the world of business. Well, talking about the stock markets and Sensex in particular, to begin with, key domestic equity indices yesterday locked modest losses amid the plunge in global stocks. The Sensex lost 171 points to close at 38,194 points, while the Nifty, that's the 50 stock market, also fell 40 points to settle at 11,278. At the broader market, that's the BSE, the mid cap slipped 0.28%, while the small cap declined 0.94%. In the forex market, the rupee appreciated 5 pies to close at 73.55 against the US dollar.
In the US, Wall Street's main indices ended higher on Wednesday to snap a 3-session losing skid as investors jumped back in to take advantage of the pullback in technology-related stocks. Apple Incorporated, Microsoft Corporation and Amazon.com Incorporated, the top 3 US public companies by market capitalization, each rose by at least 3%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 439.58 points to close at 27,940, and the Nasdaq Composite added 293 points to end at 11,141.
Well, taking a look at the crude oil prices, crude prices fell amid concerns that a recovery in demand could weaken as COVID-19 infections are going up around the world. US West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell 20 cents to $37.85 a barrel after climbing 3.5% on Wednesday. Brent crude futures dropped 14 cents to $40.65 a barrel after rising 2.5% on Wednesday.
So that was a quick roundup of all the important business news. Up next, our next segment is Sports Track, wherein we get you all important sports updates. And last year's US Open runner-up, Daniil Medvedev, saw off fellow Russian Andrei Rublev in straight sets to reach the semi-finals at Flushing Meadows. The 3-seed won 7-6, 6-3, 7-6 to set up a meeting with second seed Dominic Thiem Alex de Minaur. Now, Medvedev, who was beaten by Rafael Nadal in the 2019 final, was dominant on Arthur Ashe Stadium despite needing a medical timeout in the final set. It means the 24-year-old is yet to drop a set in New York this year. Serena Williams kept alive her hopes of a record-equaling 24th Grand Slam singles title with a 4-6, 6-3, 6-2 win over Svetlana Pironkova in the US Open quarterfinals. The veteran will now play former world number 1 Victoria Azarenka, whom she beat in 2012 and 2013 US Open finals.
Fourth seed Naomi Osaka claimed a US Open semi-final spot, overpowering world number 93 Shelby Rogers in straight sets. The American Rogers had upset 6th seed Petra Kvitova in the fourth round, but could not match an almost flawless performance from Japan's 2018 champion. Though Osaka was broken once in the first set, victory never looked in doubt as she cruised to a 6-3, 6-4 win. The 22-year-old will face American 28th seed Jennifer Brady in the semi-finals. Well, one needs to look forward to that outing of super moms, Serena Williams taking on Victoria Azarenka. Well, staying with sports, but moving on back to India, where the Sports Ministry has sanctioned financial assistance of 5 lakh rupees to young Indian footballer Ramanand Nigluthojam, who is suffering from a kidney ailment. The son of a rickshaw puller, Ramananda is taking treatment from Shija Hospital in Imphal in Manipur and is also suffering from a problem of blurred vision. Ramananda has represented India at various international tournaments. Taking cognizance of a serious health and medical condition and the financial situation of the family, Union Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports Kiran Rijiju sanctioned an ex gratia financial assistance of 5 lakhs to the athlete under the Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay National Welfare Fund for sports persons.
And our next segment is the health segment, wherein we get you one important report which tells you how to keep good health. Iron is an essential nutrient for hemoglobin and blood production, and it plays a central role in many biochemical processes in the body. Iron-rich diet provides ample amount of iron for our body, and foods high in vitamin C help the body in better absorption of iron. Let's find out the role of iron which it plays for maintaining good health.
Iron deficiency can cause many health problems. What is the importance of iron for our health? To talk about this, we have with us Dr. Umesh Kapil. Welcome, Dr. Kapil.
Thank you.
Dr. Kapil, what is the importance and requirement of iron for our health?
Our body needs iron for making hemoglobin, which prevents us from anemia or less blood in our body.
What food items are rich in iron and can prevent iron deficiency?
The foods which are rich in iron are pulses, green leafy vegetables, lobia, rajma, and non-vegetarian foods which except egg, all these foods, all the non-vegetarian foods are rich in iron.
Iron is the mineral that plays a vital role for our health. So do consume iron-rich diet to prevent iron deficiency. Kiran Bharadwaj, DD News.
Well, it's 10th of September today and there are 112 days still left in this year. Let's take a look at some of the major happenings in history in this particular segment. Well, Gobind Ballabh Pant, one of the country's most prominent freedom fighters and the first Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, was born on this particular day in 1887. That's the 10th of September, 1887. On the 10th of
Gobind Ballabh Pant, one of the country's most prominent freedom fighters and the first Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, was born on the 10th of September 1887. On the 10th of September 1965, the Indo-Pak war hero Abdul Hamid, who posthumously received India's highest military decoration, the Paramveer Chakra, died at Khemkaran sector in Taran Taran, Punjab. On this day in 1974, Guinea-Bissau gained independence from Portugal.
Up next, we'll take a look at weather updates from across the country.
Well, look at the satellite image. An offshore trough at mean sea level from the South Maharashtra coast to North Kerala coast. The east-west shear zone runs roughly around 13 degrees north and a peninsular India through 3.1 kilometers above mean sea level. What it means is that fairly widespread to widespread rainfall with isolated heavy falls, thunderstorm and lightning over peninsular India during the next 4 to 5 days.
Added to this, heavy to very heavy rainfall at isolated places is also likely over coastal Karnataka during 10th to 13th, and also South Interior Karnataka, Kerala and Mahe during the next 2 days. Extremely heavy rainfall at isolated places is also very likely over coastal and South Interior Karnataka tomorrow.
Well, moving on, a moderate thunderstorm with lightning very likely over isolated places over East Uttar Pradesh. And time now to take a look at the temperature in your city.
Alright, that's it in this edition of Breakfast News. But if you remember, before ending the Breakfast News, we always used to get a watch out for you. A beautiful note or beautiful visuals which have that feel-good factor, which I'm sure stays on with you for the rest of the day as well. And today in Watch Out, we will get something for you from Lebanon.
Well, music is something that's one of the longest, or music is something that, is a long-standing self-prescribed therapy in history. Today's notes, we're getting you some sweet melodies of music abroad from Lebanon. Let's listen to that and have a safe and wonderful day ahead.
Namaskar.